Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome back to another round of in-depth candle reviews. Hope your day is off to a great start. I hope to have at least 3 candle reviews that are going live here on my channel today. We'll see how much I can get done in terms of filming, but we are going to kick it off with HomeWorx Forest Blackberry in this video. But my hope is to also have a video ready for Above Average Candle Studio. And also, I still have some more Kringle Halloween fragrances to talk about. So there is still much to discuss. And if you are not already subscribed, definitely make sure you hit that subscribe button right below the video here. That way, all of my new home fragrance content, be it in-depth candle reviews, weekly home fragrance roundup, candle hauls, things like that, those should all pop up in your subscription feed as long as you are subscribed. So anyway, you guys, let's go ahead and dive into this delightful Forest Blackberry. In full disclosure, I was sent this particular candle as PR from HomeWorx. I am an ambassador or an affiliate with them. I have been shopping with HomeWorx since they launched over at QVC back in 2017. So I really love being able to be an ambassador for HomeWorx, and it does also allow me to pass along a coupon code to you guys. I will put the information for that in the description box down below if you're interested. That works at the Rakuten & Co website, so check that out. The fragrance here, Forest Blackberry, is actually available at Rakuten & Co. So I don't think this has popped up at QVC. And I have not seen any rumblings quite yet about whether this one is showing up in Marshalls, HomeGoods, TJ Maxx, you know, the various discount stores. So if you happen to see this one out in the wild, first of all, lucky you. Second of all, you should think about picking it up. And third, I'm kind of jealous because I feel like the Marshalls, HomeGoods, TJ Maxx in my area here in Oregon really are not very generous with the HomeWorx candles. So maybe I'm a little bitter, maybe I'm a little jealous, but that's okay. I'll just buy them from QVC. I will buy them from Rakuten & Co. Anyway, you guys, let's go ahead and dive into this review. First, we will talk about the fragrance notes. Then I will tell you about the strength and throw. Do stay tuned for the overall burn quality on this one because, listen, we had some struggles here at first, and I definitely want to address that because I've had some pretty good luck with my HomeWorx candles as of late. However, the performance on this one was not exactly flawless at the beginning. It has really redeemed itself, but it was kind of rough at first. So I just want to give you a heads up about that. Okay, so the fragrance notes on the bottom of the candle read wild blackberries, sparkling red currant, Anjou pear, and forest moss. The top notes are golden grapefruit, sparkling red currant. The mid notes are sweet blackberries, Anjou pear, and jasmine petals. The bottom notes are forest woods, rich patchouli, and earthy moss. All right, so what do I actually smell in this fragrance when it's burning? Okay, first of all, it is very, very blackberry forward. That is definitely the predominant fruity note that you are getting here. I gotta say, the red currant, before I actually received this one, I saw the fragrance notes and I was thinking, oh, I don't really like red currant. So I have some really negative scent memory associations with red currant. I've talked about this a few times here on my channel. Scent is a really powerful memory trigger, and red currant, it triggers some memories in me that I'm not necessarily super pumped about from my past. So I just kind of shy away from currants. But I don't really actually smell that very traditional red currant in this fragrance. I feel like traditional red currant has a little bit of an interesting tanginess to it that I don't really smell in a black currant. And I think this leans more black currant to me than it actually does red currant, which is really interesting. Maybe it's the blackberry that's toning down a little bit of that red currant tang, but it really does smell more like black currant to my nose, if that makes sense. I definitely get a hint of the Anjou pear. I also, if we're going to these base notes here, I get a good healthy dose of the base notes. So the forest woods, let's discuss that. This actually smells kind of just a little woody to my nose. I wouldn't say it's necessarily like an oak or, you know, some other type of like mahogany or like a specific type of wood. It's a little bit of a generic woodiness, if you will. And I think it helps to add a little bit of depth, a little bit of richness to the fragrance. I think it helps it smell maybe a little bit more sophisticated. Now, listen, this rich patchouli at the bottom, I want you to not be scared off by that. I think a lot of people really tend to have an aversion to patchouli, and I get it. Listen, to my nose, there are two different types of patchouli. There is the very earthy, very dirty patchouli, and then there is the very beautiful, very perfumey, sophisticated, fancy patchouli, right? Like the two do not smell anything like each other really, even though they're like both patchouli. They're just very, very different though. There is no dirty patchouli in this fragrance. This is not going to smell like you're going to a hippie festival. It definitely smells like a more sophisticated perfumey patchouli. I happen to really like the patchouli in here, but I will say it is not the most prominent note. So even if you have an aversion to it, I think it's still worth trying as long as these other fragrance notes appeal to you. Now, earthy moss. I don't really get anything mossy about this fragrance. I don't really pick up any jasmine in this fragrance either. And I don't know where this grapefruit is hiding, but I think they left it out of mine. There's no grapefruit in here. This is predominantly blackberries, hint of black currant, hint of Anjou pear, a nice woodiness to kind of add some depth. There's that beautiful perfumey patchouli. It's just a lovely scent. It's really well done. I want more of. I happen to think this would be a great fragrance not only for fall, but I also think this one would pair really well with a lot of my like holiday fragrances as well. This with a holiday tree type fragrance. I'm thinking either Voluspa Noble for Garland or oh gosh, Kringle does a lot of really great holiday tree type fragrances. Like this would be great alongside Christmas, I think. There's a lot of possibilities here. And I think this would also pair well with a lot of the holiday scents from HomeWorx, quite frankly, as well. So I think this is the type of fragrance that could definitely get me personally through the remainder of the year. So I will be picking up a backup of this for sure. What I might do, however, is the closer we get to the holiday season, if I, change my decor over to holiday early November like I'm planning, what I'll do is just kind of cut off this current label. It really does have a beautiful deep red wax. So I think the color will definitely make sense for Christmas. But I just think this paired alongside a lot of those, especially tree type scents, is going to be gorgeous. So I will need at least one more of these. I appreciate HomeWorx sending this one out for consideration, but one will not be enough for me. So I'll definitely pick up a backup for myself. The strength and throw have been decent. Now the first couple burns, because of the issues that I was having, it was a little bit lighter, but you can see I'm officially at the halfway point now, and the strength and throw have improved immensely. I would say the strength and throw now is probably about like a 7 in terms of strength and between a 6 and a 7 in terms of throw. You do want to be somewhat mindful about what you pair this with. So currently, I have this paired with Kringle pumpkin spice latte, and I can tell you that this is not a good combination. I really should have thought about this one a little bit more before I lit both of them at the same time, but they really don't smell great when they mingle together. So yeah, do be mindful about the size of your home and what you intend to burn alongside this one, or if you're just doing this one, that's gonna be fine, no issues there. But it is potent enough. I think what I'm trying to say here is that you are going to want to think about what else you pair with this one. All right, so pretty decent strength and throw, not going back to the olden days of, you know, 2017, 2018, the days of HomeWorx being exclusively available at QVC, where we were getting, you know, significantly more strength and throw. But I do think the performance of this is quite good. I mean, I'm certainly smelling it very easily. I do have this in my Hurricane, my Chester Hurricane specifically most of the time, and I do think it does best in the Hurricane, but it's sitting here in my entryway without any type of glass around it, and it's still filling this space beautifully. So all that being said, let's discuss the issues that happened during the first couple burns. Now, it has been a very long time since I have had any major issues with HomeWorx candles, other than, you know, I just sometimes wish they were stronger. I think the first two burns on this one were a little rough because these wicks were having some trouble getting going. If you are the type to trim your wicks prior to the first burn, do not trim your wicks on this one at all. It needs all the wickage it can get to get going. So do not trim your wicks during the first burn. Subsequent burns, if you want to just cut off those little like carbon balls that will form at the top, go ahead, do that, but don't take any significant length off the wicks, because I think that these wicks are a little bit sensitive. The first two burns, she barely wanted to pull out completely. Now, eventually there was compliance and it started like pooling out, and I started getting a deeper wax pool after the second burn. But it took those two burns to really kick in, and honestly, this was one of the first times where I was like, oh, I really have one of these duds. No, I just kept with it, and she finally turned her life around. But it took me a number of hours, you guys. I don't like to burn my HomeWorx candles more than 3.5 hours. But the first two burns, I had to go for a solid 6 hours to make sure that I was reaching edge to edge. And even at that, there's still a little piece, and you'll see it when I give you guys the overhead shot, that still has not completely melted. Now, it has melted down with the rest of the wax, but for some reason, it is just not melting that little chunk that you'll see on the side. So let's go ahead and take a look at these wicks so you can see what I'm talking about. There she is. Do you see that little ledge? So frustrating. So I did just light this video about 15 minutes. I did just light this candle about 15 minutes ago, right before starting this video here. So you can see it's not fully pulled out to the edges yet, but it will melt to the edges. But I have a feeling that this little guy right here is still going to continue to kind of give me some issues. I could at this point just kind of like flip it off into the wax with a knife or something, but I'm just going to let it go. We'll see what happens. You can see that there are some carbon balls in the wax here. These don't really form huge, massive mushroom tops, so that's definitely not a concern here. But there are little, you know, like carbon balls that will fall into the wax. They have not affected the fragrance at all, and they are not discoloring the wax. So you've got that really like lovely deep burgundy color. It's honestly the same color that they use in their, I have my beloved Harvest sleeves over here, so very similar, like vibrant red. I just think it's so, so pretty. But yeah, this is kind of what I've been dealing with this one, where the wicks they're performing. I mean, I am going to get a solid, I would say probably almost an inch of wax pool on this one once it gets to hour 3. And it'll be throwing at the levels that I said. but it still won't melt that little chunk on the side there. So yeah, she's problematic in that respect, but honestly, I mean, it's still, I don't know, it's less than ideal, let's just say that, but I'm still getting life out of this candle. But I will say, if you're struggling within the first couple burns, just kind of let it go. You might need to burn it a little bit longer. But if you just don't want to mess with any of that, then skip this candle altogether. If that is going to potentially annoy you. Now, I don't know if yours is going to do that or not, because there have been some candles that I've reviewed recently that I've had no burn issues with, and other people have said that they have struggled a little bit with some of theirs. Either it's been a strength or throw issue, or some people have been dealing with wick issues again. Now, this is the only one that I've dealt with that has had some wick issues, but they seem to have mostly resolved themselves, the issues, as of right now. So, I don't know. For whatever it's worth, we struggled a little bit, but she seems to be doing okay now. So, I don't know. I am confident enough at this point to make a purchase of this myself to have on hand for the latter part of the year, but I just wanted to give you guys the true, you know, review of this, where you can see that even though I like the fragrance a lot, it has not been flawless in its performance necessarily. So take that for what it's worth. I hope that that helps you make an informed decision about this particular fragrance, whether you want to seek it out or not. Personally, I love the scent. I'm glad there's not a whole lot of red currant present here. I like that kind of woody note. I really love the patchouli that's in here, and that blackberry is mwah, chef's kiss. Blackberry fragrances in the fall are absolutely fantastic, so I'm really glad that we got a blackberry scent this year. As far as this being a repackage, I can't really think of anything right now that I have tried in the past personally. Now, I have not tested every single HomeWorx fragrance. I've tested quite a lot. I do have a HomeWorx playlist, but I definitely have not tried every single one. So if this is a repackage, I really couldn't tell you, because there's nothing that's popping into my head right now that is making me think repackage. I feel like this might be a new scent. So, but if you have this one and if it reminds you of something else, definitely let us know in the comments down below. I appreciate you being here. Let me know if you have any questions at all. Check out the description box for the links that I mentioned. Subscribe if you're new, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Toodaloo.